the amp. Turn off the amp, turn the volume back up.
Well, now he can hear it.
All right, Hebrews chapter 1. Hebrews chapter, excuse me, chapter 1. And we'll pick up in verse number 6. Hebrews chapter 1, picking up in verse number 6. And Lord willing, we'll get to the end of the chapter if my voice will hold out. Verse number 6. And again, when he bringeth in the first begotten into the world, he saith, and let all the angels of God worship him. And of the angels he saith, who maketh his angels spirits, and his ministers a flame of fire. But unto the Son he saith, thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is the scepter of thy kingdom. Thou hast loved righteousness and hated iniquity. Therefore God, even thy God, hath anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. We'll stop there for now. Let me make a couple of comments and then we'll go on. So back in verse number 6, let all the angels of God worship him. So we're still speaking about the superiority of Jesus over the angels. And if Christ is higher than the angels, then why would he say to the, if the angels were higher than Christ, then why would he say to those angels, let all the angels of God worship him? So again, he's showing that Christ is superior to those angels. He's finishing off this argument. And of the angels, he saith, who maketh his angels spirits, and his ministers a flame of fire. So who's the minister here, the angel or Jesus Christ? The angels are the ministers here. And then verse number 8. He goes back over to Jesus, or the Son, and says, thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. We're going to need to remember that phrase because when we drop down a couple of more verses, we're going to get into this forever mode and take a look at that. But his throne is going to be forever and ever. It's never going to end. You think of thrones in the past. I mean, who are maybe some of the great empires that existed that had a king or a queen that had a throne sitting on it, or had a king or a queen sitting on a throne? I better go that way instead of the throne sitting on them. What are some of those great empires?
Babylon.
Egypt, Babylon, Persia, England, Rome. Yeah, England. Go with Great Britain. Others, didn't we have Khan, Genghis Khan? In Mongolia? I mean, didn't he? I'm sure they carried his throne with him wherever they went. King Solomon, King David, so Israel. China has these dynasties. The Mulan dynasty.
Well read, are you?
Some of you will catch that in a minute.
Syria's been around forever.
Syria's been around. Even smaller ones. I mean, when I was in Mexico, I went on a missions trip in Mexico to an Indian village that had no running water, no electricity, no anything, and the chief of that village had a throne. His was the only chair in the village that had arms and a back. No, it was handmade out of wood. And his boys went and got his chair. Dad said, bring me my chair. All of his boys jumped up and they grabbed that chair and they carried it over to wherever he was and he sat down in it. He's the only one that had arms and a back. All the rest of them basically sat on tree stumps. So when I showed up in my camp chair, you know, my folding camp chair that had arms in the back and it folded. Yeah, man. No. I let the chief sit in my chair. Yeah, that was like.
Did you leave your chair there?
No, he didn't want my chair, because I did offer. He's like, no. I got mine.
He's a nice guy.
But he sat in my chair, and he enjoyed my chair. Then he offered for me to sit in his chair, and I was like, no, out of respect, that's your chair. You know, I'm not going to sit in your chair, but you take all your time in my chair. Mine's just a camp chair. Yours is a throne. Come on, you know. I mean, in your minds, they might be equal. You know, in his mind, it might have been equal, because he did offer for me to sit in his chair, his throne. So in his mind, it was probably equal, but it's just a camping chair. So thrones are everywhere, and those that sit on them. But there's only one that's going to last forever. You know what happened to all the rest of those thrones? Do we still have the Mulan dynasty?
No, we don't.
The Babylonians.
Yeah, Persians are gone. Babylonians are gone. The queen is hanging on.
Yeah.
Queen of England.
She's hanging on. Isn't she?
Like 250.
Is it 95? I thought it was. Yeah.
Good that Philip's gone. I wanted to come back as a survivor.
Yeah. So anyways, talking about the thrones and the longevity, have any of those empires lasted a real long time? Some of them, you know, several hundred years. Some of them several thousand years. But how many of them are going to make it past the tribulation period?
None?
One?
One. Well, yeah, one.
I'll go with one.
Throne of David.
I'll go with one. And then it says, a scepter of righteousness is the scepter of thy kingdom. This is going to be the only kingdom that's ever been run by something that is upright. You know, when we talk about Rome, do you ever think that there was a good emperor in Rome? Can you think of a good emperor?
Julius was pretty cool.
We're talking about cool, but was he good? How about in the Mulan dynasty?
He was pretty cool.
How about any of those dynasties? Were any of those emperors known as a good one? And can you remember their names?
Well, I was thinking of Jehoshaphat and Asa, or Asa. There were some good kings.
There were some good kings in Israel because they followed the Lord. How about anywhere else?
Cyrus?
I don't think so. I read about 2 kings in England that were good.
I don't think you could say they were bad. And live.
Right.
Nero had a campfire.
Yeah, well, somebody was playing a fiddle. Was somebody playing a fiddle? And then verse number 9. It says, in the middle of the verse, therefore God, even thy God, hath anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. I thought that was a really interesting statement there. The oil of gladness. How many kings are happy kings? Not maniacal. Maniacal. Was there ever a king that you can think of in history that was a happy king? You could just say, this guy was happy.
Old King Cole.
He was a merry old soul. All right, there's one. There's one. Out of how many thousands of years? We can come up with a nursery rhyme. Not a real one. But at the excuse me, at the end of the tribulation period and the beginning of the millennial reign, we're going to have happiness. You know, the God that we talk about that loves us so much that he gave himself, he's going to be the one sitting on the throne. Do you think it's going to be happy? Or do you think it's going to be sad? Do you think he's going to be a vibrant king? Or do you think he's just going to be hunkered down in his dark dungeon of where his throne is? I think it's going to be like a fairy tale. You know, where all of a sudden all the gray goes away and all the flowers starts blooming and everybody's singing and dancing praises to Jesus Christ. And he's going to be the king that's going to be smiling, watching over that. So when we talk about the oil of gladness, that's what we're talking about. And then it says, above thy fellows. What do you guys think that might be referring to? Now, I have the answer, so I will give it to you. But I want to have just a little, thought challenge here. Who would be the fellows of Jesus Christ sitting on David's throne?
The saints.
No and no.
The angels.
No.
Oh, the 24 elders?
No.
No, the 12 elders.
It's
All
the
of us.
kings of Judah.
All the kings that sat on the throne. All the kings that sat on David's throne. Throughout the ages after David, made his throne, and then the different variations of the throne after it's been taken apart stone by stone. But the fellows, there would be a fellowship of the King of Kings that sat on David's throne. And so he is above those kings. So when it says there, he has been anointed, he anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows, those fellows that he is mentioning are the previous kings on that throne. Now we get to verse number 10. It says, and thou, Lord, in the beginning hast laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the works of thine hands. And so now we're going back to creation. And this is where I'm going to call your attention back up to verse number 8, where it says is forever and ever. His throne is forever and ever. His throne was established in eternity past. And the Lord in the beginning has laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the works of thine hands. You guys ought to know that. We've gone through John chapter 1, verses 1, 2, and 3, and then verse number 14. And then we jumped back to Genesis chapter 1 and on. And we see that Jesus Christ was the creator of all things. Now, do you think that the creator of all things is going to outlast the thing that he created?
I think so. I know so.
I copied this down again from the commentary just so that I wouldn't forget it. And again, it's a pretty good statement. The commentator says this, for although the suns and stars will perish, he will remain unchanged. Motion produces friction, friction produces wear produces disintegration. The whole material universe is like some vast clock slowly running down. Our sun is burning out at a rate of 4,200,000 tons of heat every second. Without any direct catastrophic intervention from on high, all things will eventually fold in upon themselves. For stars and universes have their life cycles. Astronomers have photographed the rubble and debris of stars that have exploded and vanished from the sky. So there are some things that have already outlived their lifespan in the heavens, and we're taking pictures of those. Verse number 11, they shall perish, but thou remainest. They all shall wax old as doth a garment, and as a vesture shalt thou fold them up, and they shall be changed, but thou art the same, and thy years shall not fail. Do you see the everlastingness of Jesus Christ here? The eternality of Jesus Christ in those 3 verses. Then verse number 12. Verse number 13. But to which of the angels said he at any time, sit on my right hand, until I make thine enemies thy footstools? Who did God the Father say that to?
Christ.
Jesus Christ. Any of the angels? No. Hey, Michael, you want to try out the chair?
Sorry.
Do you think he ever said that? Nope.
No, somebody wanted to try.
Somebody wanted to try out the chair, and look what happened to him. And then verse number 14. Are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation? What is the job of an angel?
Minister?
Yeah, they're ministers, servants. By the way, what are you?
Servant?
Just less good at our jobs.
We're just a little less good at our jobs of being a servant, like non-existent in comparison. Angels are made to be servants. That's what their job is. And by the way, they're to minister to you and to me. And this kind of brings up a valid question. Do I have a guardian angel? What do you think? Do you have a guardian angel?
I must have. I'm still alive. There's enough for something.
And it's like my children do.
Yeah, it says specifically that the children, until they get saved. Until they get saved. What about it? Casey, do you have your own personal guardian angel? I don't know. Because I'm asking the question?
Yeah, because you're
Because I'm what?
tricky.
Oh. Do you think that this would be a time that I would just mess around with you guys?
Yes. You? We know you. You? Especially me. I know you very well.
So, you do not have a guardian angel. You have the whole host of heaven. If God so chooses to send the whole host of heaven to protect you, that's what you have. He could send 1. He could send 10. He can send 1,000. But the only time in the scriptures that it speaks about a person having a guardian angel is what Amanda said. Small children. They behold their faces. So when anybody ever asks you, do you have a guardian angel? You tell them no, but I got a whole bunch of them. Some of you need them.
Amen.
Yeah, some of you need them. That's his Indian name, runs with scissors.
Right, runs with scissors, that's his Indian name.
But David's name's better. It's Chief Jubilee.
All right, so David, I'm going to need you to head back, please. Are there any questions or comments about what we looked at tonight in these, 8 verses? 7 verses, 8 verses? Anybody? You can stop it now when you're ready. Are you looking for your question? Randall,
Huh?
are you looking for your question?
No, I just wanted to
Okay.
comment on verse 8. You say it's under the sun. This is the Father saying
Mm-hmm.
Thy throne, O God. Father's calling the Son God.
Mm-hmm.
I never even really, I don't know how many times I read Hebrews, but I never even picked that up till tonight. I thought, that's pretty amazing.
Yep. God calling God God.
I knew. I knew he was. But I've never seen that
I know there's just sometimes when we know